important to us is because when I was 22 years old, 2008, that's when the market crashed, right? So 2008 market crash, that was at the time when my mom and dad, they were supposed to retire, they wanted to retire. But just like a lot of people, they lost about $300,000, a third of their portfolio due to the market, right? So at that time, my parents didn't really understand how to save the money, invest the money, where to go put it, how to protect it, how to guarantee it. So they said, son, you're kind of smart, go figure this stuff out. So at 22 years old, I became a financial advisor. So that's how me and my wife, we run a company now. So we have a couple different offices around the country. We're licensed in pretty much all 50 states. So we do a lot. But my biggest thing and my passion is education, right? Because at the end of the day, when we're talking about reparations, I believe that's something that we deserve. That's something that we should get, right? But at the same time, I also have to understand that, look, I can't wait for somebody else to give my family a shot. I can't wait for somebody else to say, hey, look, you got to take control of your own destiny. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's so important that we have a financial education. We have some type of backing to understand where can we go from here. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I think it all boils down to as we start as kids, right? I do a lot of presentations for kids, and I believe if we empower our children about financial literacy, right? If we prepare our children about financial literacy, the world will be a little bit better. Because think about this. I have a presentation. I said, so I always tell kids what to do with $1. If you give give a kid $1, how much of the dollar do they spend? The whole dollar. So if you give an adult $3 grand, $5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand a month, how much do they spend? The whole thing. See what happens, guys, and this is all across all cultures, all colors, right? See what happens. See, we're brainwashed as a child to understand what to do with $1, so then it doesn't change as we get older. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah. So that's huge. So see, when I teach with kids, I let them know. I'll say, well, how much of that dollar should we spend? How much of that dollar should we give? How much of that dollar should we save and invest? See, if we start teaching and educating kids to understand what to do with $1, as we become adults, we should understand what to do. Does that make sense?
That's right.
So see, that's my passion, is we got to focus on education, right? One thing about 2016, when we started to talk a lot about Black Lives Matter, right? We talked about we need to be putting our money with black banks, right? Everybody got the text messages, see on the news, right? Everybody was rallying together to put our money with black banks. Mm-hmm. I agree. We should put our money with black banks. However, we got to be a little bit more real.
It's still a bank.
It's still a bank. Mm-hmm. So the main job of a bank is to do what?
Loan money.
Exactly. Their main job is to take money from whom? Right. It doesn't matter what color a bank is, a white bank, a Persian bank, a Chinese bank. It doesn't matter. All banking institutions work the exact same way. Exact same way. They may take our money. They give us a lower rate of return, a 0.01 to a 1%. They go take their money. They go invest it into the global economy, making anywhere between an 8 to a 30% rate of return. Again, on whose money? Our money. But see, again, when we were kids, we were taught to go take our money and put it where?
In a bank.
When we're adults, most people have their money at where?
The bank.
The bank's making money off who? Our money. So see, why didn't we have a conversation back in 2016 when we're talking about working with black banks? Why didn't we ever have a conversation about working with black investment companies? Yeah. Or working with an investment company, period. See, an investment company's main job, investment firm's main job is to make money for whom? For us. For us. They don't take the profits. If the investment firm gets a 30% rate of return, you also get a 30% rate of return. The biggest thing, they may charge you like a 0.75 or 0.08 management fee to manage the money to do that. But they're doing it across the whole world, so that's why they always have money. But see, if I was growing up in a rich and wealthy family, my parents would have told me, Chris, don't worry about putting money in the bank. Don't worry about it. Put the money in an investment company. But see, most major banks always have an investment company on the backside. That's right. Chase works with J.P. Morgan, investment firm. Bank of America has Merrill Lynch, boom, investment firm. Right? Wells Fargo has Wells Fargo Advisors, investment firm. But see, we're us as average and ordinary people. We're only focused to talk to who? The bank. I'm sorry, God just talked fast. That's how I hear it. Does that make sense? Yeah. But see, but we've been brainwashed. We've been brainwashed by CNN, constantly negative news. That's what that stands for, right? That's what that stands for. We've been brainwashed to think that, see, we should invest. We shouldn't save and invest money. See, when the market dropped in 2008, most average and middle class people, they took their money what? Out. Most rich and wealthy people put their money where? In. So people, so again, I do investment advising for every day, right? Probably this time of the year, I do a lot of retirement planning for Kaiser, for Boeing, for Edison, for Activision. I just did one for a nonprofit organization. So we do a lot of retirement planning right now. The biggest thing that hurts most of the people that are retired is understanding how to manage a portfolio.
Right.
They say, well, Chris, I don't want to lose what?
Any money.
No money.
So that means I had a client with LA County 2 weeks ago, actually had 3 in a row in 1 week, 3 LA County people that are retired. They've been working there for a minimum of 20 years, right? One had 200 grand, one had 300, another one had a little bit over 500,000. But the same thing happened is pretty much all of their money was in like stable value funds, cash funds, bond funds for the last 30 years, for the last 20 years.
They could have had millions of dollars.
Yeah, again, but we think if something's aggressive, we get what? Scared.
Yeah.
But see, so again, it's about understanding finance.
Right.
The market's always gonna go what?
Up and down.
Up and down. See, that's why the banks promise, look, I'm gonna give you a 3% rate of return, and we get excited. We go get a CD. That just means it's a certificate of depreciation. It never grows. Does that make sense? Right? So we have to understand that, of course, the bank is gonna guarantee you a 3%. They're gonna get a 15% every time on the backside. So see, we have to understand finance, guys. But you gotta be honest with you. We go through our phones. How many of our people in our phones understand money?
No.
How many people in our phones understand what to do with a dollar?
2 or 3. Right.
Does that make sense? So what Tristan said earlier, she said, well, look, even if we gave even if we do get the money, at the end of the day, and probably less than 20 years, the money's still gonna be in the same exact way, place that it was today.
You might have to know what to do with it.
So we gotta focus on things, and I don't know.
You don't want to go through that?
Well-
Okay, well, it's fine.
No. Let me go back. I mean, we understand the cash flow quadrant. So I'm big on, again, I was an employee. I was taught to go to school, get a good job, to go to school, get a good education, and get a good job, right? They taught me that, right? My dad was like, son, you better cut the grass, clean your room, make your grades, boom. That was my deal. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you take care of your mama. But see, understanding as an employee, we have to understand that not even just the gap as far as money or inequality, it's really the gap as far as ownership.
Ownership, business ownership.
Right? See, African Americans, we think ownership is owning a home. It's not. See, the home that you live in ain't an asset, right? An asset is something that makes you money. But see, we think having a home, right? A lot of my clients, because I'm gonna own my own home. Okay, great, but if you own it and you live in it, you're still paying somebody what? Somebody else, because you're paying a mortgage. The house costs $300,000. The house costs $100,000. In 30-year mortgage, you're gonna pay $300,000, $400,000 in interest. Yep. See, that's why I tell my wife, baby, we should just move back to Mississippi. We can buy, you know what I'm saying? Right? We can live like a king, right? I'm from Mississippi, right? I think, see, that's the truth. We all should go back to Mississippi. Everybody should be free, right? I'm just joking, right? So we can have collard greens, pig feet, turkey necks, right? That's just the guy. So understand, going back there. So understand having an employee, but if we're using, especially African Americans, we don't really get quote unquote paid what we're worth in this system. Would y'all agree? Well, pretty much nobody gets paid what they're worth in the system as an employee, but we're always worth more, right? So that's why, again, we got to have a lot more people, African American descent. We have to have a lot more people that's thinking a little bit bigger. That own businesses, that can employ ourselves. That's right. Right? Because it's tough to become financially independent, right? Leave a legacy for our family, and we're having a job. See, that's what really inspired people. People say, Chris, why would you quit engineering? At 22 years old, I was making $100,000. And so my parents thought I was good. Oh yeah, son, you're doing awesome. But see, what really changed me to say, hey, look, Chris, you gotta stop being an employee, right? What the main and he said we were trying to get him into college. He was going to be the first of his whole family ever go to college. Only problem was what? Money. Had the grades. Excellent student. So what do we? You're a teacher, right? What do we do for in 9th to 12th grade, helping people go to college? What do we need? Main thing we do to help them get scholarships? What do we do? We write letters. We write essays. We do all the. But who are we writing letters to? Corporations, business owners, nonprofits, wealthy people. Yes. So God put it on my heart. He said, Chris, so I don't understand, Chris. You're an employee. Yeah, you said you have a passion to helping people, change people's lives, leave a legacy for generations to come. But why are you an employee? See, there's never been an employee. I couldn't have. He said, Chris, why are you writing all these letters to other rich people? Why aren't you rich? Why aren't you wealthy? So you can write the check.
That's right.
Right? Me being an employee, I cannot write a check big enough. If I only have a job, I can't write a check as an employee to put him through school. That's right. So at that moment, I knew I just couldn't be an engineer. at that moment, I just couldn't, okay, well, I make 6 figures in Louisiana, I should be okay. Does that make sense, guys? So God says, Chris, you got to think bigger. You got to own a corporation.
Right.
You got to be able to generate millions and billions of dollars. So now I can be in control, and I can be the one to what? Write the check. I don't have to, you can't tell somebody's story in a letter. That's what they've been through their whole life. Sometimes it just can't come out in writing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I help people understand that I got to teach more individuals, more kids. We got to be business owners, right? We got to be investors. See, our money can always work harder for us than we can for it, as long as we put it in the right place. But see, the only problem is most people don't put it in the right place.
That's right.
Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Go to the next one. And see, I believe in it. So we got to understand asset classes, right? Again, this is basic stuff, but I mean, this stuff should be taught in schools. Right? I mean, paper assets, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Okay, yes, that's the easiest way to invest. So this is how I teach. Again, I'm throwing back to the kids. So my nephew, he's 18 years old now. But when he was a kid, right, he said he loved shoes. He loved Jordans, right? So he always wanted a pair of Jordans. Jordan cost $150 to $200, right? So this is what we got to understand. It's always amazing to me. Blacks, they always talk about us we have the greatest spending power.
Right.
But why do we classify it as spending power? Why don't they say investing power? It's a different mindset. So if we're always talking about investing, exactly. So they always want us to do what?
Spend.
So if we have the highest amount of spending power, we also have the highest amount of what?
Investing
power, but we don't invest.
Right.
So see, you got to teach a kid. Look, if they want to buy Nikes, right? Well, then that means you need to buy. Every time you want to buy a pair of Nike shoes, you need to buy one share of Nike what?
Stop.
Okay, it's Christmas time. So if you have kids, you have grandkids, why are you buying? If they want their shoes, buy the shoes, but put the little stock inside the stocking.
That's right.
Give them a share of stock. Every time they want something from Target, okay, yeah, buy whatever you need from Target, but also get Target what?
Stop.
If Best Buy just had a Black Friday sale, okay, what? Great. You went to Best Buy, got your flat screen TV. It was on sale. The regular side is $500. The regular price is $500. You got a deal for $200. You should have just invested the difference of $300 and bought Best Buy what?
Stop.
That's
But see, we'll consistent.
He is only $96.
Boom. Right? So we consistently talk about what we haven't been given, but the same thing, we don't take what we have and actually what? Multiply it either. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Right? So no, I mean that's all of that. You can skip all that.
Okay, so do you want to go back here?
You can skip all that. Well, go back, yeah. Go back. So that's why we have to understand paper assets. That's why we have to understand commodities. I tell my clients, look, you got to get good at least 2 of these asset classes. Either you have a great paper assets portfolio, that means you maybe have your 401k, your Roth IRA, if you're self-employed, a SEP or simple, right? You may have that, but you better have at least a good real estate portfolio and not your own home. Right? Me and my wife probably would never really own our own home. We'll own homes, not our own. Right? I don't want to own property. I don't want to own my own home. If I own my home, I don't make money off of it. I tell people like, why would you? Okay, you want to go buy your own home, great. But think about this: if we got if you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, I always do this example. I wish I had a whiteboard. Is this okay?
No, that's a regular.
But think about it. No, but think about it. If y'all think about this, guys. It's about owning property, not just owning your home. If I wanted to get a $500,000 home in California, right? Let's say, let's just keep it easy numbers. I do 10% down, right? That's $50,000, right? Then I gotta pay closing costs, right? That's another $15,000, right? Then I need to pay taxes and insurance. That's probably another $5,000, right? If I want to get the property, right? I gotta put something in it, appliances, utilities, right? Then the first year home mortgage costs, right? If you add all that up, that's about $80,000 to get into the home in your first year home ownership costs. But if I just would have rented the 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, I would have paid $2,500 for first and last month rent. I'm in the home that I rented, same 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $7,500. Say I bought some furniture or whatever else. Okay, I'm in it for $10,000, $12,000. That means I just saved what? Almost let's say $60,000. Now with that $60,000 that I saved, I could have went and got a duplex, a fourplex, right? Got a down payment on it, could have did a program with it, got the money, rented all out for it. Now would have generated me what? More income. The income that I'm generating on my property would have paid for my home that I'm what?
Living in.
Renting. So now my rent is what? free. But since I own real estate, I have a corporation, so now I'm getting a tax deduction. So now I'm lowering my corporate tax bracket and also my W-2 tax bracket. Does that make sense? So
this together.
All together. So honestly, when you look at the rich and wealthy, you know, even our taxes last year, we paid less than 10% of taxes. When I was an employee, I paid over 40% because I made 100 grand as an employee as an engineer, but now we pay less than 10%. Why? Because of how things are structured. So see, we got to teach people that. Does that make sense, guys? That's what a power is, right? Commodities, gold, silver, natural gas, oil, food, right? All the stuff that we did as slaves, right? Boom. I mean, I didn't do it, but right, they did it, right? Business, real estate. See, we gotta have a combination of these things. That makes sense, guys? Let's go to the next one. You can skip that. You gotta go with all that.
I'm sorry.
That was some good stuff, though. Another thing is with insurance, especially with African Americans, right? This is huge. See, life insurance is the #1 mostly purchased product financially, but it's also the #1 most misunderstood. See, as African Americans, most African Americans have less than $50,000 of life insurance coverage.
Yep.
See, we think about life insurance. If you talk to African American about life insurance, like, no. Oh, no, I just need it for burial. Oh, no, I don't want nobody to get rich off me. Oh, I don't want to leave nothing to my... That's how we think. Now, when I go sell insurance on the west side, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, they say, Chris, how much insurance can I get? Had one client said, well, Chris, can I get $50 million of insurance? I'm like, of course. You got the money. Yes, I got the money. Boom, I want $50 million. African Americans, no, it's just burial.
And I also need to add that is how the generational gap started. Because insurance companies were allowed to buy life insurance on their slaves. Because they were allowed, we owned them. So it was just like car insurance, auto and home insurance. They owned us. So they were able to put life insurance on us as slaves. And when we died, the slave owner received life insurance benefits that they were able to use to further their land, to further their crops, to build their businesses, to build America. So this is an example of how our family should start thinking about generational wealth, using if all you ever used was life insurance.
Let me see, I'll do this real quick.
Oh, okay.
Because I want you guys, because again, this is important, right? Oh, I can just use your pen? Well, I can use this, okay. It's important, because what we understand, it really bothers me that we don't understand the importance of insurance. Right, my dad said, I want you to start where I finish, son, not start where I start. See, our generation, we always got to start what?
Over and over.
Right, so it's amazing to me. You got to think about it. Let's say we got Mary and John. You don't see this? Everybody can see this somewhat, right? Mary and John, they both make $25,000 a year. Right? Are they living off one or both incomes?
Both.
Both. Well, they at least got 50 grand coming into the house. But then they got what? Expenses. They maybe got a mortgage or they're renting. They probably got 2 kids, right? They probably got 2 cars. They probably have debt. You gotta eat, gotta have food, gotta have your neck bones, right? That's just me, guys. I'm really
That's clearly.
Soul food, jerk chicken, whatever you need, right? Rice and peas. Food, you gotta have lights, you gotta have other stuff, other insurance. Maybe we're trying to save, right? And then Uncle Sam's always gonna take his on what? So God forbid something happened to John, what's Mary and the kids gonna do with 25K of income or 50K worth of expenses? Right? So it's tough, they lose everything. So typically in African Americans, when somebody passes away, is a family left in a better or worse situation? Worse. Why? Because they don't have insurance.
Right.
We gotta go to the church to bury somebody. Am I right?
Yes.
So or we go to GoFundMe now, right? Click the button. Right, so we need insurance. So in this small case, you should always have at least 10 times as much life insurance coverage as you do income. Easy, right? So go back, baby. So see, this is how let's say like my family, right? Let's say my mom and dad, they both own a $250,000 life insurance policy that they pay for.
This is teaching generational wealth today.
So this is what I do for my clients. I need to set that up for you, right? I don't just talk about it, that's what we do, okay? So let's say my mom and dad, they both got $250 that they pay for, right? Well, since I'm their son, I can also have life insurance on who? My mom and dad. Boom. So I'm gonna pay another, let's say $200 a month. So my mom and dad also have another $250 that who pays for?
You do.
Yeah, so God forbid when something happens, it's inevitable, unfortunately, my parents are gonna do what?
Exactly.
Pass away. But guaranteed, me and my sister, guaranteed what's gonna happen when my parents pass away, we get a minimum of $1 million tax what?
Free.
Free. Insurance is tax free.
It's tax-free money.
People say, well, like, that's why sometimes we can't really look at what they say on TV is real. Like when they're talking about the rich and the wealthy, the wealth gap and paying no taxes, the rich don't pay taxes because they use vehicles. It's the same vehicles that who can use?
We can.
We can use. Nobody's stopping us from using this stuff. That makes sense? So when my parents pass away, we'll do $1 million. Well, that $1 million goes into a what? A family trust. Right, a Bush family what? That's my Bush, like the black Bushes. I mean, they still owe me money. Does that make sense?
Yes,
right? So think about it. Going back, if you just invest $1 million in insurance policy, right? I'm gonna invest $1 million. So we're about to have a daughter. Her name is Chloe, January 17th, somewhere around there. So when she comes 30 years old, the Bush family trust will be worth what? 14 million. Right? So then when Chloe has kids, boom, second generation, that's what? 216 million. When Chloe's kids have kids, now it's what? 3.1 what? $billion off of one time doing insurance that I did for my family. So to me, I don't really believe that African Americans should be broke. African Americans, we have what we have now. We just got to be more educated. Now, if we get more, boom, it just takes it to another level.
That's right. But we can still do it.
Right, but think about this, guys. When it comes to dang it, I forgot what I was going to say.
So when we sit down with clients, we educate them on why, as a family, it's important to come together and get insurance on your elders. Right? It would make sense if somebody has 4 kids, for the 4 of you kids to be putting in on insurance policy for your mother. If you understand that if we're trying to build generational wealth now, we're trying to, as we're waiting for reparations and the things that we're doing in the meantime, these are things that we can be doing today to make sure that we're catching up.
But think about how powerful this is. When you understand a financial structure, when we understand like the rich people, they have what you call family offices, right? They have a family office together, right? So we should have our family offices.
Our kids should be trust fund babies.
Yeah, well, again, my daughter, she'll never need a bank. My daughter ain't gonna have to go to a bank, right? She got the trust. Right? If she wants to go to now again, she still need to work for something. So let's say she wants to go to college, right? She says she wants to go to Harvard, Yale, whatever she want to go. We're gonna pay for it. Well, she don't need to go to student loans. She just need to borrow the money from the what? From the trust. Now, what happens? How does the trust get replenished? It works like this. Let's say if Chloe wants to go to college, let's say it's $100,000. I know it's more than that. Let's say it's $100,000. So what happens inside the trust documents when she borrows $100,000 from the trust, an additional $100,000 life insurance policy goes out on her. So now, before she pays it back, if the money doesn't get paid back to the trust before she passes away, the life insurance would actually replenish the what?
Trust. Wow. And that's how that's how people will continue their money, never will go away.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, she still got to borrow the money. I mean, we may only do that at 1%.
Right.
But at least the trust pays for another life insurance policy or whatever the debt that they carry on it. God forbid something happened, boom, the trust gets replenished. If my kids want to have a car, if they want to buy their own home, if they want to buy their own business, the money comes from the what? Trust. Right. Another insurance policy goes out on whatever amount of money that they borrow from the trust, boom, gets paid back. And that's just that was just talking about from if I did that for my mom. But see, when my Chloe gets 30 years old, I'm gonna teach her. Look, I know I had me and Tristan had $1 million on my mind. Well, Chloe, look, we got enough money to where you can get a $5 million insurance policy on who? Us. Yeah, boom. Money is simple. Ain't that simple? Thank you. I'm like, why don't everybody know that?
They didn't tell us.
Why didn't they teach us? I got an engineering degree, doctors, lawyers. I don't care who I sit down with. LA City Councilman. I sit down with everybody. They got the right that we praise. They still don't know about money.
They don't teach us.
Because they don't teach us.
Which is why we need.
Does that make sense? So that's why I'm like, people say, Chris, why you quit engineering? I quit engineering because I love this stuff. I love to teach. I love to help my people. I don't care what color they are, but I love to help my people. Right? I want to make sure I give people the tools. I want to empower the kids. Right? I want to help everybody. Right? So we can do anything from a financial service standpoint. Me and my wife, we're licensed in every single division. Right? We help people with mortgages. We do home buying workshops. We do big on retirement. During like this time of the market, the market's at an all-time high. Well, we're going to have a recession, right? But think about it. We have life insurance on our cars. We have insurance on our cars. We have insurance on our lives. But the biggest thing that we don't have insurance on is our retirement accounts. Most people don't even have an insured. Y'all know y'all can have insured retirement accounts, meaning that the market goes down, we can put insurance on to where it never goes away.
No.
Y'all know that? Dang it, they got that. That's how they didn't lose no money in 2008. They have insurance on an investment account. You can insure your investment account. Ain't that amazing? You can do that. That's what we do for clients. Our clients don't worry about the market. If the market crashes, great. People that are under the age of 45, you should want the market to crash. Why is that?
Because you got insurance.
Not only that, no, because I want the market to crash. Because if it drops, then I'm putting all my money in the market. Now, if I'm talking to somebody that's over 45, 50, approaching retirement, my main job is security. I got to put insurance on your retirement funds to make sure you don't lose money. I don't care where you work at your job. They'll all do it. We just got to know how to put that structure together. Does that make sense?
You want to end here?
Yeah, we go.
Well, we talk about paying yourself first.
Well,
We just get so excited. We just get talk
Yeah,
about anything.
I will do this though. Let me just this is the last thing I do. All right. This is why again I don't. A lot of the stuff that they talk about on the news, election, I don't really believe it because they don't know numbers. They're just talking. Right. The reason I say that we can never shrink the wealth gap. It never can happen. We never can shrink the wealth gap. The main reason why is because money has been doubling for way too long. Let's just do a simple example. Let's say I'm 22 years old, and let's say I can contribute $5,000 every single year for the first 7 years into an investment account. And then I never contribute again. Right? The ending value of my account would be what? About $2 million. So I only contributed for how long? 7 years. And I only put in what? I mean, I only invested $44,000. But see what happens, with us, that's the other people, right? For us, we started what? We started late. So then that means we try to contribute every single year, that $5,000 a year. We have to do it from 30 to 67. We would have contributed what? $209,000. But the ended balance is still what? 1.8. We contributed more money over here, but we still have less money at the end. That's why we can't shrink the wealth gap. Money's been doubling way too long.
So we have to start with our children.
Does that make sense? Isn't that crazy how the numbers work?
Yeah.
So we can't. So when they talk about shrinking the wealth gap, again, that's just politics talking about something that it's not necessarily true when you look at numbers. We can't shrink it. But one thing that I'm so confident is I got to have more African American people participating in the game. That's what I want to focus on. We can't. I can't take it away, but I can. You know what I'm saying? I can make a difference.
Right.
If we educate people, I can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Right, and that's what I believe, guys. Right, I believe that we have a shot. We have a chance. Right. It's more than just traditional schooling and education. We have to teach people about business. We have to teach people, because this is the age to where everybody got a degree now. A degree was important back in the day. A degree ain't important very much anymore. Right? You got to have a skill. Like my nephew, he's 18. He just went to college. And now he says, Chris, I want to major in English. I said, I understand you want to major in English. That's perfectly fine. But see, I got to teach you a skill.
That's right.
Can you learn how to sell? Can you learn how to present? Do you know how to trade? Do you understand business? You got to do something that's going to create some type of income for you. That makes sense, guys? So, okay, I can take your English degree if you want to write books. Okay, we can make that into royalty income. We can do a lot. See, we got to think that way, though. I want to teach kids to go to school, get a good education, and start a big business. Not just get a good job. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What else? Is that it?
It's a lot. You know,
Okay, but yeah, so that's just my passion, guys. And that's what we bring to the table, and what I want to go on a global scale is I really want to be big on educating everybody, right? People just from the cradle to the grave. We got to make sure we get education.
That's right.
Right? Because they're kids, they need a different type of education. Teens need a different type of education. Adults from age 25 to I would say 45, as we're trying to build wealth, we have jobs, need a different type of financial education. Then after 45 to 50, we got to focus on how can we leave a legacy? How can we focus on guaranteeing our money? How can we get guaranteed income for our life? How can we be free? How can we make a difference? Right? But see, there's so many financial products that do it, but again, most people don't talk about it. We didn't talk about it at Thanksgiving. We talked about the Black Friday ad. We didn't talk about what happened in the market. That makes sense, guys? I mean, everybody got iPhones, smartphones. Right? It's so many times. Every time I sit down with a client, I always ask them, I say, hey, look, let me see your phone. I said, go to the stock app. They said, oh, I deleted that. You deleted the main thing that can make you money. We deleted, you see what I'm saying? We got every app in the world. See, think about it. If we logged in on Facebook, on our stock app, on our investment app, as we logged in on Facebook, social media, we would all be wealthy. Right? So guys, it's possible, and I'm just here to make a difference. So if you guys have any questions for me and my wife, anything when it comes to finances, how we can make a difference, if you guys have your own personal assets or money that you have questions on, we can help. Yes, sir.
I'm a tax accountant.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of people, when they $500,000, they sell a house, it's tax free. If they're single, it's $250,000. Instead of going on vacation, they can take that and invest in their life insurance or investment. So what happens that even in California, if they're domestic partners, they can't. The IRS don't recognize it, so it has to be $250,000. So if you're single, it's $250,000. You don't pay tax for that. If you're joint, it's $500,000. You don't pay tax for it. They can invest that money into something else.
Correct. Well, they even going a step further. This is what the rich do, right? With Donald Trump. Why don't? So they have big buildings. They don't pay taxes on the sale of the home, right? So even going a step further, let's say like we have rental property.
That's your personal residence.
That's his personal residence. But let's say we have other property, right? I have a client. She has an investment property that she wanted to sell. She's 78 years old. She don't want to go chase rent, right? She needs the money for what? Income. She still needs a rental income, but she don't want to chase the rent. Right. Well, just going back to the tax code, there's something called a deferred sales trust, to where she can sell her home. Typically, it would be capital gains. She made over $500,000 on the capital gains. She would have to pay taxes on it, right? No, she don't. She can put into a deferred sales trust. She can defer taxes on it, get a guaranteed income for the rest of her life. She only has to pay taxes on what she distributes to her bank account, and that can go on for generation to generation. So it doesn't matter what level of income you are. There's always a way to get around the taxes. You just got to understand the tax code.
Right.
I mean, it's just amazing. Just little things. So she's 70, ain't gonna pay no taxes on $500,000. Man, it's just unbelievable on things that you can do, guys.
Right. If
Yes,
you
sir.
know.
It's interesting because I have a friend that just retired in June, and now here it is December. I was with her last week. We were on a little island, and she sold a home, retired. She was an executive at a community college, former professor. Her income for this year alone is $950,000 because of the sale of a house that she had, which was $500,000. But she's at a bracket now at $900,000 that is taxable. She didn't do like putting the resources that she had into insurance or anything else. So now she's stuck with this bill, which is going to be half of what she had. So ultimately, she's going to have $400,000.
And that's why when we're talking about reparation, it's very important that we demand land, that we demand access to ownership, and that we as a people, that we make sure that we are educating our people on what to do with it. Because when you take the education and ownership together, you're unstoppable. Nobody can no one ever, not the government, I'm not the white man, nobody. When you own, your land, where you're living, and you know what to do with it. That's it.
And I have one other comment. I just read yesterday, I think I sent it to you, Pat. I know I did send it to you. There's a city that's 12 miles north of Chicago the local town has passed legislation to build their own, reparations account. And they estimate the way they did it is that they're taxing the marijuana that's being sold in the city. This is in Illinois. And they're hoping that it will generate between $500,000 to $750,000 a year. It does have a 10-year gap, though, and the 10-year gap is for $10 million. So once that gap goes, I think that's it for the legislation. So now the next phase is to think about how they're going to distribute the money. And the second thing is that they're thinking of alternatives in terms of something you all said earlier, and investing in a way that they're going to do something a little different than the federal government's talking about. They're going to, anyone who's black that lives in Evanston, I think it's Evanston, 12 miles north of Chicago. Anyone who's black, you don't have to prove that you were a descendant of slavery, right? Just be black, that's all. And they're thinking of multiple ways of investing this money. First-time home buyers program.
Absolutely.
Some other alternatives, not just giving people
a check,
cash money.
It's
although you have to be black in order to qualify for this. So there are people who are working around the system, the federal government system, that has not emerged to be anything yet. But a local city has done this, and it just came out yesterday. So I thought it was interesting around